In this video, you will learn how to practice speaking on your own by describing a film. And you will also watch me describe a film. He's a little bit clumsy and he almost falls a little bit, but he manages to right himself and starts flying towards where the smaller birds are. You can describe any film to practice speaking, but I'd suggest it's best to choose a short film without any dialogue. So, on that note, the film that we'll be working with today is For the Birds. And did you know that the title of this film, For the Birds, is actually an idiom? Watch to the end to find out what it means. So, you might think this is a silly little film primarily made for children, but you actually need a lot of complex, high-level vocabulary to describe this particular film in detail. For example, what's this? And what are the birds doing here? And what's going on here? You'll find out later when I describe the whole film. But not to worry if you don't know all the words, because describing a film is not only a great way to practice speaking, it's also the perfect opportunity to expand your vocabulary. Now, what I'm going to suggest now, I would never advise you to do when you're speaking with someone else and having a real conversation. But when you are speaking on your own, it is possible to stop speaking so that you can check unfamiliar vocabulary. If you're not sure of a word you need, pause the film, look up the word you need, then practice using that word immediately by continuing to describe the film. So, what can you talk about when describing a film? There are endless things you can say. You can talk about what you see, what you hear, including sound effects and music, any other senses that you can describe, how you imagine the characters feel, your reaction to what's happening in the film, anything that the film reminds you of. What you talk about really isn't that important. The important thing is that you are saying something, anything at all, so that you can practice your speaking more. Also, describing a film is not a test of memory. Don't watch the whole film and then just talk about what you can remember. Instead, watch short chunks, then pause the film and talk about what you've watched. If you can't remember something you've just seen, watch that part again and then describe it. Also, when describing the film, do so in as much detail as possible to give yourself as much opportunity as possible to practice speaking, to practice using a wide range of vocabulary, and to practice using a wide range of grammar. In fact, here's an example of what not to do. The birds are talking. Next, I'll show you how to do it properly. But first, if you like this video, subscribe and turn on all notifications. And if you really like this video, you can buy me a coffee. The link's in the description. Thanks. And one more thing, to give you the opportunity to practice speaking by describing a film, I've created another video to allow you to do exactly that. I've linked to it here and in the description. So, after you've seen me describe For the Birds, watch that video to practice describing a film yourself. So first, all we can see is a telephone wire with the sky in the background, and the camera is following the telephone wire along, and the title of the film is also above the wire, and as the wire rises and falls between the poles holding it up, we also see the title of the film rising and falling. So it's moving in parallel with the wire. And then next, we see a small blue bird who comes and lands on the wire. So let's find out what happens next. So the bird that's sitting on the wire starts puffing out his feathers, and then he's immediately joined by another bird who starts stretching. And then more and more birds start to land on the wire as well. But we can see that the birds are not really getting on very well together. So some of the birds start pecking at each other. And yeah, they're really just like disagreeing and squabbling a lot together. We hear the noise of another bird out of shot, and this gets the attention of all of the smaller birds, and they turn and look to see the bird that's making the noise, and then we, the audience, also get to see this bird at that point. And it turns out that this is a much larger bird. So this bird is much bigger than the smaller birds who are already on the wire. And this bird also looks rather dopey. So he looks a little bit stupid, as we might say. The big bird waves at the smaller bird as if he's trying to be friendly towards him. But the smaller birds really are not impressed by the big bird. And they start making fun of him and laughing at him. So they are like pulling funny faces and trying to imitate the larger bird, but doing so in a really negative way. So they're laughing at him and making fun of him. The smaller bird's antics are interrupted again by the bigger bird. And the bigger bird, because he's a bit dopey, he doesn't really seem to realize that the smaller birds are laughing at him and making fun of him. And he wants to join in with them and make friends with them. He wants to come and see them. But the smaller birds, as we know, they don't really like the bigger bird. So they move away from him. They walk along the wire and more to the center to get away from him. So the small birds are all showing their disdain for the larger bird by muttering things under their breath at each other. And we can only imagine the types of things that they might be saying to each other. Obviously, they're making rude comments about the larger bird. So they might be saying things like, "Oh, he looks like a complete wally," or they could be saying things like, "Oh, I can't believe he's flying towards us. Oh, I hope he just flies right past and goes somewhere else. Okay, I really want nothing to do with this stupid bird. Nothing to do with him whatsoever." But this doesn't deter the bigger bird. He still wants to make friends with them, and he starts flying towards the bigger birds. But as we know, he's a little bit dopey, so that means he's not the best flyer as well. So when he takes off from the telephone pole that he's sitting on, he's a little bit clumsy, and he kind of almost falls a little bit, but he manages to right himself and starts flying towards where the smaller birds are, and lands on the wire right in the middle of the smaller birds. And clearly the big bird is significantly heavier than the smaller birds. So when he lands on the wire, his extra weight causes the wire to be pushed downward. And I think the music at this point in the film is really effective because as the weight of the big bird pushes the wire downwards, and all of the smaller birds slide into the center of the wire, we can really hear music that reflects that. So the sound of the music is sliding at that point as well. The notes in the music are sliding from one note to the other. The small birds are clearly upset by the fact that they're now all squished together. And we can see this because they're still muttering away at each other, probably complaining about this fact now. But this dozy big bird still seems to be completely unaware of why the small birds are making all of this noise, and that it's really because of his actions. And he really thinks that everything is going well and that everybody is having a whale of a time, that they're all enjoying themselves. So he decides to join in with the noise that the smaller birds are making, and he starts squawking away. An interesting thing is that the larger bird has a deeper voice, whereas the smaller birds have more high-pitched voices as well. The smaller birds are still seriously annoyed with the fact that the big bird is there. So one of the birds who's sitting right next to the larger bird decides to peck at the larger bird. And this causes the large bird to fall off the wire a little bit. But he doesn't fall off completely. He's still actually hanging on with his feet and his claws. He's just dangling upside down on the wire. And the small birds are really amused by this. They think this is great because, you know, they hate the big bird, really. And this dopey, dozy big bird who still hasn't realized the way the small birds feel about him just thinks that this is all a great laugh. They think that he thinks that all of this is just fun and games. They're all playing together, even though he's now hanging upside down from the wire. So we see that he thinks that this is all fun because he's again trying to, you know, join in with the big birds, with the small birds, by making some noise again that shows that he's actually enjoying the situation. But really, we know that he shouldn't be enjoying what's happening at all, because throughout all of this, the small birds are actually attacking him. So the two small birds who are sitting on either side of the big bird while he's dangling from the wire are constantly pecking away at his toes, the small bird's toes, in order to try to make him lose his grip on the wire and ultimately fall off completely. And all the other small birds think that this is great. They think it's fantastic. It's brilliant. And they are encouraging the two birds who are doing this to continue doing it by chanting. So they are repeating the same word or short phrase over and over again in order to encourage the two birds to continue pecking at the feet of the large bird. They might be saying something like, "Go, go, go, go," or "Do it, do it, do it, do it," or "Peck him, peck him, peck him, peck him." So pecking at the larger bird's feet and toes and claws is having the desired effect, because gradually, one by one, the big bird's toes spring up and off of the wire. And again, the music or the sound effects at this point are really effective, because each time one of the bird's toes or claws comes loose from the wire. We also hear a boing sound to accompany that music. So it really, not music, to accompany that action. So it really emphasizes what's happening at that point. But all of a sudden, one of the small birds realizes what's going to happen if they continue pecking away at the large bird's toes, and he does completely fall from the wire. And as the bird realizes that, the camera pulls back and zooms out massively so that we can see the situation that this small bird has just become aware of. And what we can see is that the weight of the large bird has caused the wire to be pulled down so far that if the large bird suddenly isn't on the wire anymore, okay, we know what's going to happen here. The wire is going to spring back up suddenly, and of course that means that all of the small birds will just go flying everywhere, and not flying because they're choosing to fly, flying because they're being sprung off of the wire. The small bird who's realized what's going to happen tells the other birds about this. He's like, hey guys, look what's going to happen here if we keep encouraging the other birds to peck at the big bird. And of course, the other birds instantly realize what's going to happen as well, and they all become really worried. So they then all try to get the attention of the two birds who are right beside the big bird, pecking at his toes. And they, they really desperately try to tell these birds to stop. And indeed, they do stop. However, at that point, it's just too late to prevent what's going to happen. It's inevitable now. The small birds have pecked at the toes of the big bird so much that he's now only hanging on with just one toe. And he can't hang on any longer. So he, just at that point, he finally loses his grip on the wire and comes off completely. So the wire springs back up, and it's quite funny because not only does this cause the small birds to go flying everywhere, but it actually also causes them to lose all of their feathers. So we just see a whole load of blue feathers where the small birds once were, while we're actually just left to imagine them all being flung into the air. So we don't actually see that happening, but we're left to imagine it. And I think that's a more effective way of portraying this part of the film. because we can, we know what's going to happen, and we can just imagine it. It's not actually necessary for the filmmakers or the animators to actually depict this part. We know what's happening here. We don't need them to show us that. But we also know, because we have been shown this, we know that the weight of the big bird caused the wire to be pulled down so far that there actually wasn't that big a distance between the big bird and the ground. So he does fall from the wire completely. But luckily for the big bird, he doesn't actually have that far to fall. So he lands on the ground, but when we see him, he doesn't appear to be injured in any way. He looks fine, and I'd say to a certain extent, he still thinks that he's actually, on the same side as the big birds, the small birds, and that they're still all, playing a game together. He still doesn't seem to really have realized that throughout all of this time, the small birds have been, picking on him and teasing him and doing nasty things to him. So we see the big bird on the ground now, in a bit of a heap, a bit dishevelled, but not looking too worse for wear. And the feathers that have come off of the smaller birds are now starting to fall down, and we see them just like gradually floating downwards, like surrounding the big bird on the ground. So the big bird is sitting on the ground with the feathers floating down around him, and he blows a few of them away from him, like. And as he's doing that, one of the smaller birds now falls out of the sky and lands on the ground behind him. And of course, the small bird is now completely naked, as it were, because he's lost all of his feathers. So this is like really amusing for the big bird. And the big bird starts laughing at the small bird. He's howling with laughter. And so we can see a complete turnabout in what's happened here, because earlier in the film, the small birds were laughing at the big bird. But now the big birds, not the big birds, the small birds, have really got their comeuppance. And the big bird is laughing at the small bird because of that. But although the big bird is laughing at the small bird now, we can see that he also still feels a little bit sorry for the small bird, because the small bird is embarrassed about being naked, like not having any of his feathers. And the big bird actually hands him a small leaf so that he can try to cover the more intimate areas of his body, so he doesn't have to be quite as embarrassed as he otherwise might be. Then all the other small birds also fall out of the sky as well, and land on the ground surrounding the big bird. And of course, they don't have any feathers either, and they're equally as embarrassed about this as the first small bird. So they don't want anybody to see them looking like this. So they quickly run behind the big bird to try to hide and maintain their modesty, I guess we could say. And throughout all of this, the big bird is just laughing his head off. He thinks this is absolutely hilarious. Well, I guess in my opinion, of course, I think it's funny as well. I think it's great that the small birds have really got their comeuppance because they were being really cruel and mean to the big bird, so they definitely deserve what's happened to them. Remember at the start of this video, I said that for the birds is an idiom? Well, let's look at it in context and you can figure out what it means. My football team lost their last 3 matches. They're totally for the birds. Does for the birds mean A, brilliant, fantastic, the best ever? Or B, worthless, useless, no good? Of course, the answer is B. For the birds means worthless, useless, no good. Do you think the film For the Birds is for the birds? I certainly don't, but you can let me know your views in the comments. Next, practice speaking on your own by describing this film. Alternatively, watch this playlist all about the secrets to learning English. Good luck with your English!